Aloha and welcome to Conversations to Enlighten and Heal. I'm your host, KG Stiles. Conversations is sponsored by PurePlantEssentials.com, Organic Aromatherapy. Please subscribe so you never miss a show. I'm excited to be speaking with well-known UK-based divination expert Gregory Scott. On this webinar show, Gregory will talk about how he uses intuitive energy reading with tarot, astrology, and numerology to guide his clients to discover their spiritual soul purpose and make clear, informed decisions for the future. After the show, we'll have a live Q&A chat, and you can ask Gregory your questions. The Q&A is active now if you want to say hello to Gregory and interact with us during the show. Please join me in welcoming divination expert Gregory Scott to the show. Welcome to the show, Gregory.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for joining us. I'm delighted to have you with us to talk about how you use your intuition to read the symbols of tarot, astrology, and numerology for your clients. So I thought it might be interesting and relevant for everyone if you would give us a general forecast for the astrology and numerology of today's moon in Gemini. I'll review the moon astrology and you can give us your general forecast for today. Is that okay?
Yes, that's fine.
Okay. Here's the astrology for today's moon. We have a Gemini moon. It is square to Neptune, conjunct the Sun in Pisces, and the Gemini moon is opposing Saturn. This Gemini moon is also sextile to Mars, Venus, and Uranus in Aries, and trine to Mercury in Aquarius. Mars and Venus are also trine to Saturn. So there's a lot going on in the heavens today. So what's your take on this forecast? What kind of general forecast can you give us today, Gregory? How do you read today's energies?
Well, I'm just going to start talking while I'm getting my information together here. There is a general card reading that I've actually put up for today on my YouTube channel, youtube.com/tarot astrology, and that's my daily tarot reading, and that gives a real kind of feel for the energy today. And the message for today is really one of gratitude, and I feel that today has been a day where you will be experiencing gratitude, especially in connection with the people you've got in your life. So if you're with a partner and that doesn't always go very smoothly, then today is one of those days where things are really going well and you're opening up to each other very well. In terms of the moon that you've looked at, obviously Gemini is all about communication and exchanging information, and the moon I always feel represents what you're comfortable with, and it represents something that comes quite easily. It's that kind of intimate, inner space within each of us that really gives us a real sense of, some days we feel more communicative, other days we feel more passionate, and it's difficult to say where that is, that feeling. Where do you locate that feeling? But when a Gemini moon is occurring, it means that communication becomes less labored. It's easier to research, it's easier to communicate, it's easier to find things out, and it's just one of those things where today wouldn't have been a block. So it's good that we're doing this live chat today, since we're communicating, that we've got that moon helping us out a little bit.
Yes. So what about today's numerology? It's February 25th, 2015. What kind of intuitive numerology forecast do you give for the date for today?
Okay.
And how does it relate to what you've just told us?
Well, it depends. So, KG, you can do this in a number of different ways, and the way I include the numerology is I link it to the actual cards that I choose.
Okay.
So I choose 3 tarot cards, and then I add up the numbers on the cards, and that way I get my numerology vibration.
Okay.
You
and
can
what
also
for today.
Well, you've caught me off guard there, because I'll have to
that's
look
okay.
that up.
So just if you were just an example of how you read numbers, that's what I was really wanting. If we look at February 25th, 2015, there are a lot of 2s and 5s in there. I mean, there's a 1 and a 0, but, you know.
Okay, well, I've just mentioned how I would read the numbers, and I would look at the 3 cards that I choose, and I would add up the numbers there. Or you could do the dates. So I look at the year 2015. That reduces to an 8. So you do 2 and 1 and 5 is 8. But you can also combine the date. So you can add 25 to. We do the month in the middle in the UK, and then the year at the end. So you can get your base number that way. But the point is to always reduce all the numbers that you're using, whether you're using tarot cards or the date or the year. The point is to always reduce it to a single number so you get the vibration that way. So 25, let's just work this out then. 25th of February 2015 would be 2 and 5 is 7. 7 and 2 is 9. 2 is 11. 1 is 12, and then 7 is okay, 7, 9, 11, 12, 17. So 1 and 7 would be 8, and 8 is the base number. And 8 in numerology represents power, it means control, and it represents having control to change things. And today is a good day because the day's vibration is the same as the year's vibration, which is an 8. And this year is all about taking control and responsibility for what we're supposed to be doing. So today is going to be a significant day in that.
Yes. So the gifts you say for this day, you already mentioned gratitude. So it sounds like there's also this element of stepping into your power and taking charge in this day as well.
Yes, and I think that's the best. When there is a sense of gratitude, it's the best to step into your power, because if you're taking action from a place of gratitude, from a place of, you know, my life is full, I'm grateful for the things that I've got in my life, and you take action from that kind of place of being appreciative, then you can create more good things in your life.
Yes.
So that's a great thing to start from. That's a great starting basis.
Yes. Yeah. So, yeah, I love the way you integrated. You know, that I think that you're really good with your intuition. That you're able to, you know, you're integrating the energies for your messages, and I really like that.
Yeah,
so,
I really think, KG, the way I would say that I work is the divination tools and things like numerology and astrology and tarot, they're all very useful. I really find them very useful. But I don't use them to, if they ever become stumbling blocks, or if I ever get sucked into a system where I have to use something a certain way, I don't do that. They're tools to open my intuition. And I think the thing that is always going to be the most accurate, the most useful, is any human being's intuition. Okay, so these are all just tools that anybody can use, but ultimately it's you as a human being, as a soul, as a spirit, getting information to help another human being. And if you get to a place, and I think a lot of people get put off learning these tools because they can seem complicated. I mean, even the tarot, there's 78 cards. You have to remember those, you know? So once you've done that initial work, I think if it ever gets to a point of, oh, this card says that, therefore it must mean that, and if you get into that mode of, I have to, da-da-da-da, and you get into that robotic, formulaic thing, just listen to your intuition, relax, and see what message is coming through. So it could be that one day you get the, let's say you get the sun, and in the textbook it would say the sun represents energy, and it represents enlightenment, and it represents childlike nurturing, okay? But you, when you're reading the cards, you get the message that this is a fun day where you have a good laugh, and that's the message you get. Then that's the message you should listen to.
Yes.
So it's about relaxing into being able to give these messages. So
yes, you use your divination, the tools, as a way to align with your intuition.
Exactly.
Yes, yes, yes. It's not in no way takes the place of or whatever. It's meant to help you tune in to your intuition. Yeah, yeah, wonderful.
Absolutely.
So I love that you frame your readings. You know, I listen to your readings often, and you always
Great.
frame things in a positive way. You're very honest with the energies as you read them, but it's always constructive. You frame it in a way so that, you know, at first glance, something that can seem like it's a negative influence, you put it in a way that's positive and has a constructive meaning for people. So it's not fear-based. It's love-based. It's helps them with their evolution, their evolution and consciousness. So can you talk about this and how it relates to your being a guide to your clients in living their spiritual soul purpose?
Yes, okay. I think we're all guides to each other if we live on planet Earth. I mean, in its very simplest form, because my belief is that, you know, we are all spiritual beings having a kind of human experience, and that we're never disconnected. And the image that I like to use to kind of help me understand it, if you think of the universe or God or source or whatever you think of it as a giant hand, and each one of us is a finger on that hand, it's like God has 8 billion fingers on one hand. And that's really what I see us. We're never disconnected from that palm, from that, you know, bigger hand. We're never disconnected from it. So if I see myself as a guide to my clients, or if I see myself as being helpful to anyone on their journey, it's because I am having the same experience, and I can use my intuition to tune in what's going on for another person on in their journey, on their path. Because whatever you call it, whether you call it a giant hand or whether you call it the collective unconscious, we do all have access to what's going on for each other on a vibrational level. And that's why these tools are useful, and that's why they work, because we can all tap into that pool of knowledge. So I really feel that if the question is how do I guide people, is I help people clarify what's going on for them by really sharing the experience and sharing what's going on by looking at it together.
That's beautiful. So it's a collaborative. Your readings are collaborative.
Yes, it's always a two-way. Absolutely.
Yeah. So what other primary spiritual lessons and life decisions do you assist your clients with, Gregory? Are there sort of themes, recurring themes, or?
Yeah, well, yes, there are. I mean, we look at really the things that are going on for people in their daily lives. You've got work. What is it I should be doing? What is it that I'm good at? We look at relationships, the existing relationships that are in place, whether those are nurturing and useful, whether there will be relationships, whether a person is single, and also even before we get to some of those things, fundamentally, what am I doing here? That comes up quite a lot. What am I what am I doing on planet Earth? What are my assets? What do I need to work at? What do I need to look at? And really, what should I be working on as my spiritual purpose? So we look at those kind of things. Spirituality, what kind of tools and techniques can I use to progress spiritually? How can I find some peace of mind in my life? Then we look at family considerations, health. So it's anything that really can affect us as human beings. But I like to particularly speak to people who are looking at different options and weighing things up and trying to figure out exactly which way to go. Because, KG, the thing is, what I said about all of us being spiritual beings, we all hear our guides. We all have our own messages. And what I've noticed most in my readings is not that people are blocked from hearing their own guidance and their own messages, but it's that people don't actually trust their own messages, and that they get the message to say that they should be an aromatherapist when they're working currently as a lawyer, and they say that thought can't be right, and they dismiss it and they wave it away. Even when that thought comes over and over again, people often don't trust, because the intuition can be wrong, and most people say, well, there you go, you can't listen to that, it's not something that can guide my life in a meaningful way. So that's really what I help people to do, is I look at things, and when I discover something without people telling me, then often they will say, I had that same thought, I have considered that sort of thing, and the fact that you picked that up from my chart really gives me the kind of evidence or proof that I needed, that it's something that's
Mm-hmm.
supposed to be in my life, that it's meaningful to me. And that's usually how it works.
Yes, yes. So, uh, I find that to be the case too, that people, the best intuitive readings, the best readings are ones that just affirm, confirm what your client already knows, that they've already been intuiting for themselves.
Yeah,
Is
so
that
they
correct?
know for themselves, yes, but also that possibly they haven't fleshed out, or something that they have kind of been aware of but didn't really take notice or didn't understand what that message is. For instance, that, dreams, for instance, you can often get a message from the subconscious guiding you in a certain direction, but the symbols don't mean anything, and you have no idea what your subconscious mind is trying to tell you. So yes, they do know it already, but they have no conscious appreciation or awareness of what it could mean, or what their guides are trying to tell them. And that's where these tools,
Mm-hmm.
and that's where people like myself come in and are useful, hopefully.
Well, it sounds very practical and grounded, the way that you work with people.
Yes, I'm a triple earth sign, so I am very much about practical, grounded advice,
Yes.
in terms of looking at things and seeing what the solution is. I try not to look at the problem so much, but I look at, if there is a problem, if there is a challenge, I'll try and look at the solution out of that.
Yes. Yes. Finding the solution in the problem. There's a
Yeah.
seed for, yeah. So, do you notice any, you mentioned about the collective unconscious earlier. So, do you notice any spiritual trends developing for us collectively, especially with the Uranus square Pluto? What are some, and then also this Saturn starting to come into square with Neptune, which are larger, they're more collective energies.
Yeah, because the outer planets are very slow moving, they're kind of generational. Everyone will be affected by those, and it's something that will happen to us as a culture. If you look at Pluto, that planet is very much about stopping and starting, and it's about transformation. It's like the phoenix rising from the ashes. It takes away and it provides something new. A square in astrology is an aspect that creates tension and creates motivation. So if Pluto, that planet, is square to Neptune, they'll be kind of butting heads a little bit and working together to create something, and it will be a friction that people can feel. Now, Neptune is a very fuzzy, hazy planet, and it often represents to people what the aspirations are. So if Pluto and Neptune are combined in that way, it will mean that the dream and the aspiration of the culture, of the human race, will be shifting and changing. And the way I see that, and this is where the intuition comes in, that I feel that the message would be for us collectively that dreams we have had as a culture, some will have to be abandoned and replaced by other dreams that will take us a different way. So certain things are going to feel like big disappointments. And I mean, not to get political here, but I think the kind of thing we're seeing with things like ISIS, for instance, could be seen as a collective disappointment in where we are as a culture, where we are as human beings. And that kind of thing is a realization that then would be symbolized by that Pluto down period, and then it's accepting that, letting it go, and finding a new dream, finding something else to strive towards, considering what we have kind of to deal with. And that's the kind of energy I feel. You mentioned Saturn as well, and Saturn, again, it's an outer planet, and it's not all fun and games with Saturn. Saturn is not the life of the party. It doesn't come in and say, hey, everybody, let's have fun here. It doesn't do that. Saturn is, what are the lessons? What do we need to look at? What can we put under the spotlight? And what do we want to learn here as human beings? And it feels very uncomfortable, and it feels very difficult. And difficult to the point of, I can't go on, and how am I going to get through this? And it's those moments when you dig deep and you find that strength that you didn't realize you had. That's when you learn something. It's the kind of growth that no one wants to do. Okay, and then once
Mm-hmm.
you've done it, then you have real growth on the other side of that. So that's a real it's a it's a tough energy, but it's also a highly rewarding energy, and that then links me into the numerology of 2015, as in the number 8. This is what we have to take responsibility for. This is the structure and the strength that we can work through to create something better. And that's why this brings me back to the tools and why they work so nicely together, is because you'll notice that numerology, astrology, and tarot, the numbers and the meanings and the planets and energies, they line up. They work hand in hand. So it's not separate things. They all tap into that collective unconscious, and that's why you get messages that work together.
And you can have repetitive, they support each other, like you were saying.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
they work together. So I wanted to ask, are you, you have all the Earth. I was wondering, Pluto has been trying to Virgo, which I think, I was wondering how you're experiencing these energies yourself, as far as, with Neptune coming to oppose Virgo and Saturn square it. Are you, maybe share with people, when you have a personal experience of an energy, I feel you have an insider's view of those energies that are constellating.
Can I just clarify something, because this is something that can often be confusing to people. In astrology, you've got the planets, so Mercury, the Sun, the Moon. Then you've got the signs, Virgo, Virgo, Scorpio, Cancer, all of those. And then you've got the houses. You've got a wheel with 12 different sections, and each one of those planets is in a sign in a house. Okay? So when you say that, for instance, Pluto trines Virgo, well,
it's in Capricorn, so that's why the energies. That's why, I was saying.
Yeah, it can.
Pluto and. So I was just wondering if you were experiencing anything from yourself.
In which way?
I was just wondering, how, I know I've been experiencing changes because I have a Virgo moon. Yes, it's ruled by the planet Mercury. And so we're having a conversation between Mercury and Pluto in Earth signs. So it's been really bringing a lot of transformation for me with my own emotional needs, and stepping more into being empowered and regenerating myself, with my expressing, and a lot of things that have been suppressed. For me, Pluto really helps with anything that's been suppressed, that it's been below the underground.
Oh, great. So it brings that out in you, does it?
Yeah, yes. Any of the conversations between the different planets and the different signs, and then, of course, the houses, really, that's the flavor, that's the area of your life where things show up.
Right.
At least that's been my experience.
Yeah, so that's interesting that you mentioned that, because what's going on in the heavens right now will always impact every person uniquely, like you, for instance, because we all have a natal chart. We all have a snapshot of the heavens, of what was going on the moment we were born. So, for instance, if something is transiting your Pluto, or the actual transit of Pluto is moving over something in your chart, you particularly may feel that as an awakening, whereas someone else may feel that as, being taken away from. And that's what makes it interesting, because we are all different. We do all connect with this these ultimate influences, but we react to them in different ways. So that's what makes us unique and different. In terms of my own personal experience, I mean, I've got my own natal chart. The transits that are going on are affecting me personally in a specific way. But again, what I would say that the main theme is for us collectively is this energy of taking responsibility and having a look at things under the microscope and really learning from them. What kind of splits this and makes it more accessible for different people, on my YouTube channel, I do sun sign astrology. So I split the transits into each sign. So if you're a Cancer, I do a monthly report for that sign of Cancer specifically, and see how things are affecting that sign. So where the planets are based on the chart in Cancer. And then I do the same thing for each 12 signs, and that's really as near as you can get to your own personal chart without having a private reading, because it narrows it down to your sun sign.
Mm-hmm. So what do you love most about being an intuitive energy reader, Gregory?
What do I love most? It's a good question. I was speaking to a friend of mine the other day, and he said, you know, I watch your readings, but what I like is that you don't profess to have any special powers, or that you don't profess to be something unique. And I think that's my favorite part of this, is having discovered something that everyone has access to and actually being able to use it in a helpful, meaningful way that's of use to other people. And I genuinely believe in this work. I mean, I really feel that this is useful. I really feel that. So I think that's my favorite part of actually tapping into this, because yes, we all do have an intuition and we can all do this work, but not that many people do. I mean, I think out of the other 8 billion people on the planet, or 7? I think it's 7. I'm not sure, but I think it's 7. But out of those 7 billion people, I wouldn't say that the majority kind of look at the intuition as something that they work with on an everyday basis. I think people, you know, out there in the public, if the phone rings and if they know who's kind of calling them before it's actually happening, and then they pick it up and say, hey, I was right, that's a great kind of thing, but they don't assign any more meaning to that. And I think, yeah, my favorite part is that I've discovered something that really anyone could, and that I can bring that message to people. Listen to your intuition, listen to your guides. You do have the messages, you do have the answers, and it's all available to you. I think that's a great gift.
Yes, I think so too. So I also, you know, you're saying anyone can be an intuitive energy reader, that we all have intuition. And would you say there are any prerequisites as far as doing this professionally?
Prerequisites. Right. Okay, so we do all have it. Some of us are going to be better at it than others. And if you're drawn to the cards or any divination tool, first of all, that means that you've got something going there. Otherwise, there would be no interest. I think the fact that there's an interest and there's an aptitude means literally that you can do that. Second thing is, get to a place in your own practice where you're doing it, where you're doing card readings or runes or whatever it is you're doing, where you feel like you're actually getting something through. I think a lot of people, when they start out, they get confused between, am I making this up? Is it a real message? Is it real guidance? If you're asking that question, you haven't quite got it, because when you get genuine guidance, it feels different. So keep practicing until you get to that place where it's like, okay, that feels right. Some people feel it, some people know it, some people hear it. We're all different, but you'll get to a place where it's like, yes, this is right, whether it's coming from the other side or my intuition, whatever. Wait till you get to that place and then start doing it. And then I guess the only prerequisite is the willingness to do it professionally. I mean, a lot of people are psychic, but they don't want to be a psychic, you know. Mm. So I think that's a prerequisite. But being certain that you are actually getting information that could be meaningful and helpful to someone else, and that you feel like it's coming from a genuine place, I think that's the prerequisite. So you don't need certificates, you don't need to do anyone's certification course. I think that's only for confidence, and it helps a lot of people with confidence, but you don't need a certification to do this work. I mean, it's funny with me, actually, because I've got, in my 20s, I just got certificate after certificate, because I felt, you know, in the real world, you needed all these degrees and certifications to get by, and now I'm doing something that comes from a real heart place where I don't need any. Mm-hmm. And mm-hmm. I didn't see that working out that way, but there you go. Yes.
Great example. So you have, as I recall, you have an online course for learning how to read the tarot. Can you tell us about it?
Yes, it's on my website. I've named it. I've given it a very complicated name. I think I'd simplify it if I did it again. I've called it the ITEC, which is the Intuitive Tarot Expert course. And I called it that because I wanted to combine the fact that it helps you access your intuition, and by the time you finish it, you are an expert. And it's available on my website. It's gregoryscott.com, and I've got a shop section on there. If you click on that, you'll see it. And the way I've done it is I teach the course in two ways. I put it in video format so that people can take it at their own pace in their own time, and they can watch the videos, and I offer study material to go with that so you can practice and play around. That's one way to do it, and I've made that really affordable, and so that's very accessible. And then I also teach it in person, so whether you're in the UK, I teach it in person, or I teach it over Skype remotely, like this, in a number of sessions. So there are, there are lots of ways to learn it from me personally, and I've wanted to do that because, again, I think anyone can do this, and even though I think the intuition is the fundamental source of info, I think the tarot is something culturally that most people can tune in most easily. I think runes, for instance, are quite obscure to most people. And I think I Ching is quite obscure to most people. But I think the tarot is something in our culture that's quite mainstream. I think everyone's heard of the tarot reader. I think in The Simpsons there was an episode where Lisa goes to a tarot reader on, so it's very much part of the culture, and that's why it's easily accessible, and that's why I've offered the course so people can learn this tool specifically, which is my favorite tool. I think tarot and astrology are my favorites, and then they can tap into their own intuition that way.
So how can people get in touch with you for a personal reading, Gregory?
They can go to my website, it's gregoryscott.com, and they can click on contact to send me an email, or they can click on the readings to just have a look at what reading they would like and select the reading directly.
Oh, wonderful. So is there anything else you'd like to share before we go to our Q&A, see if anybody would like to ask you questions?
No, I'd just like to say thanks for having me on this Hangout today. I've enjoyed talking to you.
Oh, wonderful. So, all right. So, let's see if we have any Q&A here. Does anybody have? Do you see your Q&A chat over to the right-hand side by chance? Do you see a window with Q&A below them?
I do. Are you asking me?
Yes.
I do. I have Q&A.
Is anybody asking questions?
It says this feature is disabled.
You want to go over to your Q&A and see over on the left-hand side and click on that and see if you can see anybody asking a question?
Yeah, I've done that. I've clicked on Q&A, but then it says that the feature is disabled, the actual Q&A feature.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Let's see if I can. Do you happen to have, I'm trying to get the window to pop up here for me to go see the internet. Are you at all, can you see the window for the web or anything? Do you have a website? Do you have a URL website up? For some reason I'm not able to. Let's see if I can. So anyway, if there are any questions, what we can do after this, if you have any questions, if this is okay with you, Gregory, we can just have people post their questions below the video when the replay is up, and maybe I can let you know if there are any questions for you. How does that sound? For some reason, it's I'm not able to get the window to come up here if anybody's leaving questions. I mean, there could be questions there, and we're just not seeing them. So,
KG,
all right.
Before you finish, let me just try one thing and see if I can find some questions. And what I'll do is I'll just go to the YouTube section and see if it's on there. Do you mind if I just quickly have a look?
Yeah, that's what I was trying. I couldn't even get the website, the web browser to open up.
Oh, right. Okay, let me see.
Because I was thinking.
I'll just see.
That's okay. We do have, I think we have some pretty
questions.
interesting energies right now with, I mean, there's kind of interesting stuff going on with this Gemini moon, because it is doing sort of a interesting thing with Neptune there and Saturn, and there's all this intense energy with Venus and Mars and Uranus, you know, coming up to square Pluto. So it's, you know, I think for me there's been a lot of and I think in positive ways, the disruption that's been happening has helped me to change in ways that I need to change. So I've been not, you know, my ego would like to be in resistance. I'd rather be, have things go my way, but also I trust that there's something trying to come forward. I think all things work together for good. That's just, you know, how I'm wired together. Yeah. And keeping your heart opened. And anyways, your heart isn't open, wherever you're shut down or blocked, this is a time to just really step into, you know, more in your heart and have a willingness to just be in your heart and go with things and see positive outcomes. So, all right, so we'll close it up. Thank you so much to those of you, I guess I'm including myself in watching this show also, who did show up, and the replay will be immediately available after, and hopefully we'll get some questions for you that you can, you know, interact with people. Okay, Gregory?
Yep, thank you very much.
Okay, all right. Take care.
Thanks.
Love to you.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.